trying to get better. Here we go. There you go. Being
All I do
recorded.
is Teams meetings all the time, so yeah.
I'm
A little bit
always
better.
I'm always going to revert to Zoom. In fact, I thought I had scheduled you on Zoom, so I was starting up my Zoom meeting, and then you rang in on Teams, and I'm like, see, sometimes I get it right. Um, okay, good. All right, so I did a couple of things for you, which is what is in your email. One is I compared your current resume to the majority of the job posting. You sent me a screenshot rather than a cut and paste, so I could only grab the first part of the job posting, but it was enough.
My boss
Um,
hasn't, the position has to go through like approvals. So the position has been approved to be posted. So he took what he had internally on the secret end, because this is not even like posted to anybody, and gave me that.
okay, it's fine. ChatGPT has new boundaries and it wouldn't let me from a creator side extract it all, but I
Hmm,
got enough. Yeah, it was real
interesting.
weird. I sometimes I run into weird um boundaries and they're not even sufficient boundaries. I'm like, I'm sure you let weirder things happen on this platform and all I want to do is cut and paste for God's
Right?
sake. Um, so I scanned and I will send you the link so that you can continue to use it because it's a really great resource. It's called Job Scan. And what it does is it lets you take your current resume and compare it to a job posting. And it will tell you keywords that are missing, if you had odd formatting, things like that. What I usually suggest that you do is take your ideal role. So in your case, you're going for a promotion. Like we know what you're
Right.
tracking. So you would use that and then you take that and update your LinkedIn because the keyword component is what we're fishing for specifically, and JobScan is known for its keyword search. So we can write and be wonderful creatives and wonderful communicators, but at the end of the day, the keyword component is what JobScan is really good at.
Okay.
And it does wonderful things like, hey, your date formatting isn't optimized for a search. Okay, well, that's a Word or PDF or Canva thing. So it
Right.
grabs those little tiny details and fixes it. So I took the resume that you sent me and the majority of that job posting, and that's the Canva report, or that's the job scan report that I sent you. You are missing a few keywords that they will probably scan for, so you need to add those. Then I sent you a long report. It's like 5 pages.
Yeah, I was reading through that.
Okay, so that is the comparison between your end of the year analyze or self-report that you did, your current resume, the job scan, and the job posting. And if you look through that, it has a ton of really great information. And it gives you the ability to reframe what you currently are doing, your ownership experience, and the job posting to make you an account manager.
Okay.
Just stronger framing. And I think that's the difference between support role and I'm ready for this.
Right.
And it did that report gave it to me without you even telling me that that was the transition you were looking for. So I would go through and make those adjustments and then update your LinkedIn as well because they definitely need to match. I did look at your LinkedIn when you originally messaged me, and it doesn't look that bad. It seems like you've been let me just pull it here real quick. You have to fix this tagline though. Video clinical specialist. This needs to go back to I help ABC, do 1, 2, 3.
Okay.
You're also missing a background.
Let me pull mine up now. Do,
I'm
do,
going to
do.
share it with you.
Oh, fantastic.
Okay, so your background photo's gone.
I took everything down as soon as I got the position because I wanted, because my boss is very like into LinkedIn and he looks at it. I wanted him to know I'm here and I'm not like presently looking anywhere else. I kind of made it very bland when I first
So
got the position.
so put something up that is company branded then.
Okay.
Um, for territory managers, I would say it should, your tagline should be, I help whatever type of clinician you're working with. Um, and then the metric that you meet. So I help, what type of clinicians are you working with?
I work with GI and pulmonary doctors.
Okay, so I help GI clinicians improve XYZ. And it's okay that that's role specific now because you would change it for the next type of target customer. So make it specific to the current role that you're in. Um, this is all current, so this is all really good. I like all this. Um,
I changed on my resume before I sent it over to you for the Morton Pest Control. I changed that to the date I started employment at Olympus because I wanted it to they would probably not consider me if I was doing more than one thing. So I took that and changed it over. And I'm gonna pretend that my job at Morton Pest Control stopped as of April 25.
okay, so even if you're an owner over there,
Um, the my concern is that they really like want you to be extremely focused.
okay, all
So
right.
I'm just concerned that if I have anything that's on the sideline, it might make it because I have to go through 5 interviews for this position.
Yeah, you mentioned that.
It's HR, my manager, then it's my manager's manager, then it's a panel of other EAMs, and then it's Patrick Romano, the VP of the company.
Okay. All right. So then the other thing that's going to have to be adjusted here is you need write-ups on the video clinical specialist and the GI endoscopy. You need metrics. So you have write-ups under Morton Pest Control, you have
Hmm.
write-ups under, okay, so what are you gonna put underneath these two?
The video clinical specialist, I have some things I can put in there. Do you want me mainly to speak to my job duties, or do you want me to speak to
Your
like
success.
my success? Okay, I have success stories. And then the GI endoscopy technician at UCLA, I might actually remove that because it's just 3 months.
This is
And
what
it's
you did for that real short period of time, right? You went and got that certification and did it.
no, it's not a certification. It was just previous. It goes back to the previous experience before AMBU. I took on the role because my unemployment ended and I needed money. So I worked
I
there for a few months.
I really don't want you to do that unless you're going to change the end date at Morton
Okay,
because you go January to April, April to June, June. It doesn't look like you're unemployed.
I see what you're saying. So if you go down, do I have something under AMBU?
Yeah.
What's under AMBU?
250 clinical training sessions, live procedures, and then all of your skills
It goes back to the same position as endoscopy technologist, surgical technologist. It would be like this basically for UCLA, essentially.
for this one.
Yeah,
Okay,
because it's
that's
the
fine.
same job.
Yeah, so remember the keys to this that make you look different are the metrics, because we went through and added metrics for each one of these. That was
Hmm.
the key component. Most people just chat GPT the hell out of this and then don't put any success rates in here.
Okay.
So your success rates should go in here as percentages so that, what $1 million to some people is something they'll never achieve versus $100,000 is a big deal to some people and they'll never achieve that. So
Right.
only as percentages, and to the targets that you are held to. So as a technologist, were you given any kind of feedback or did you do anything there? I know it was super short, but what were you?
I barely made it through training.
I know.
Let's see. It would just be like doing procedures solo without like another person involved. Essentially, like the same assist positions and GI procedures. But the thing was, is that that facility was very basic, so they didn't have any specialty procedures. It was just like a colonoscopy factory.
Write something up. Try it in ChatGPT. And here's what I will
Okay.
tell you. Put it in ChatGPT and tell Chat it's going on my LinkedIn page, and I need this to sound as positive as possible because I'm looking for a new role. I'm looking for a promotion.
Okay.
I really don't want you to take it off of there because the time that you were unemployed, um,
We filled
it
in with
narrows,
Morton.
well, it narrows the amount of time that you spent away from the medical field, right? So you went from 2024 to April of 2025, even though you don't have months here. It literally looks like you were possibly out of the medical field for maybe a couple of months.
Do you think
Where
I should update this? Because the AMBU was October of 24, and then April 25 was the UCLA.
Why don't you have months on here?
Well, I don't remember the exact months for all these things because these were years ago, but
No,
I
I
can try
wouldn't.
and figure it out.
I wouldn't. Don't worry about it. Oh,
Okay.
you've got better things to be doing in life. But it needs a description because
Okay.
it looks sloppy that there's nothing there.
Yeah.
But then this one for you now, it's got to be a badass one.
Okay.
Full metrics, tons of success, even if you are um overly positive. Do you know what they consider successful for an account rep?
So the position that I have is a brand new, no one ever else before position. So I don't have anybody to look upon. And then that document I sent you is my MBO document for the end of the year. It's what they're going to base my raise on, or my bonus, I should say. And my boss said I hit 100%, so I'm getting a full bonus. But it's based off of what I've done. And the main things I've done was um basically help close Cedars, which was a huge account. With my other account rep, I ran the entire trial by myself. And there's a few other accounts in there, but the Cedars one was the big one for the year, the big win.
Okay, so I would definitely put those things in. My question should have been the role that you want, the account manager role. Do you know what they consider success for those?
Meeting 100% of your sales goal number.
Okay, so it's only is it revenue or gross sales success?
It's all revenue driven,
Okay.
the whole position.
Okay, and you don't have any revenue trackers in your role.
No, unfortunately.
Okay. Yeah, I would put everything that they're tracking you on, and you don't have any year over year stuff yet. So I would just say, 100% to goal, closed, help close, X number. I saw you had it laid out in your plan. Let me just look here real quick. Sorry. Do you know if they're going to open this up or do they internally hire first?
So it's only going to be posted internally. When I spoke with my boss about it, he's like, "No, this position's going to only be posted internally."
Okay.
Um, and I have a feeling they want to fill it pretty quickly. It will probably get posted either on April 1st or between now and April 1st, it'll be posted internally, only on the Olympus website for internal candidates. And then he's gonna send it to me, like he's texted me like, I don't know, 3 or 4 times in the last 2 weeks saying he's gonna get me that as soon as it's posted.
So can you say some of these same metrics that you claimed at Ambu, 250 plus product demonstrations, 20% phys physician engagement, like are some of these the same that you would use?
It's different because the role is a little bit different, but it could be similar. For instance, can you scroll down to the Ambu one for me? Okay. So I definitely haven't done 250 clinical training sessions because the position I have, I'm not really a necessarily a trainer like I was back then.
Okay.
I could say I've done case support essentially. Like I go in and I make sure the doctors are utilizing the product and I show them all the modalities of the new processors and the new scopes. I can bring that up. I can figure out a number on that. Um,
So actually, I'm just looking at your resume compared to your LinkedIn, and these don't match, right?
for the Ambu.
Yeah.
I think I changed some things on it when I was thinking about this job specifically. So I made a few adjustments like last week.
Okay,
But
so these should match.
okay. So basically like
Uh,
copy and paste what I have on the resume that I'm sending over to Olympus into this.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because like even so I'm just looking here really quick. Ambu on your resume says generated 300,000 plus dollars in new business revenue by supporting product adoption. Like that's the kind of stuff that you want to integrate. And I realize you're talking about an $8 million territory versus a different size territory in Ambu. So you could change this $300,000 to a percentage.
Okay.
But because you're going to an account manager situation, that's what has to change here. You have
Okay.
got to get this framed. And that's what that report that I sent you, the long one, is
Yeah.
saying. Um, like that's why it's starting to call out your Morton role more than anything else because increased total revenue by 253%.
I would say I'm doing more of the EAM role in Morton than I was at that and I was at Ambu to be realistic. Because like when
Yes.
you're a business owner, you're pushing revenue growth really heavily. Um,
Yes.
whereas when I was a clinical training, I was pushing physician training more heavily. Now in the role I'm in now, I'm pushing organic revenue growth. It's just I don't have a number attached to me.
Right. So you have to figure out a way to say that and give yourself credit for it. And in fact, I remember very clearly having this discussion with you when I first started working with you, which is why we added the generated $300,000 in new business revenue by supporting product adoption because you weren't being measured by it, but you were the one that was helping and the salespeople liked working with you.
Right.
So that's why that's important here and why it will guarantee success in the transfer of a new role.
Okay.
Does that
That
make
makes
sense?
sense. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So that report that I sent you that are more like my notes and the
Hmm.
comparison of all the documents, you're probably going to have to follow that pretty closely,
Okay.
even though it may feel weird to give yourself credit in that manner.
Yeah, when I was writing my MBO, I was very careful not to take credit from the EAMs and some of the things I was saying because I didn't want to sound like, okay, like I had no support. It was all me.
Yes. It will probably feel odd, right, to go
Right.
through it in this manner. But I will say this, when I go to do this type of thing, I usually have to have somebody else do it for me because professionally, we go through a stage where we learn to be humble, like almost more than humble, so that we can be a part of a team successfully. And that bites us in the ass when we go to get a new job.
Right.
So it's easier for somebody else to talk about the good things that we do. And this is a challenge in that process. And you did fight it trying to get a job in this last time, but then you know, in all fairness, you got desperate enough that you had to do it. And then you were able to say, okay, this is who I am. This is what I can do. These are my strengths. And you finally had some success.
Right.
Now it's a different challenge of the humility because you have a job. You don't want to damage the job, but you still want to do better. So it's like a dance back and forth. How do I speak about my success and my contributions and get credit for them with a strong dose of humility?
Absolutely. I have a document that worked really well for me from my coworker Art, who is the EAM of LA for Cedars, the actual Cedars account. He wrote me a really nice, like, hey, you are doing really fantastic, and like you took control of this account, you did 100% your own, and and then my boss also had me on the regional call, like give back the feedback from the physicians, which is like a part of the EAM role. So it's like when I asked him, what do I need to do now between the time you and I spoke to the time I interview? He's like, you're doing the job already. Like today, you're doing this job. So he's like, I don't really think you need to change anything that you're doing out in the field.
Okay.
But that's where I'm like, well, that wasn't really good feedback. That didn't help me. Yeah, I'm doing the job. Okay.
Okay, so then the other thing I'm going to tell you is all of those nice things, you need to go ask for recommendations for all of them because you have none right now.
So I have a recommendation. Sorry. I have recommendations from Art, but it's in an email. So I was going to ask him, but we have 2 more days, today and tomorrow, before I'm going to ask anybody of these things because everybody's trying to close end of year. So April 1st, I'm going to ask for more from people. I was just waiting for end of year.
So what about the physicians that have said nice things about you? Are you connected with them on LinkedIn or can you ask them?
Mm, probably not.
Why not?
I don't have that type of connection with the physicians.
Okay. All right.
I don't have physicians really saying like, "Oh, you did great." Not like that. It's in this
Okay.
role, it's not really that type of um relationship with the physicians. It's not like that.
So I will just remind you that you got bit by this before because you were not proactive about it. You did
Right.
a lot of, I'll do that in 2 days. I'll get to that next. The timing might not be right. So you need to act a little bit more in the moment on these because when you send these, they will go into their email and they can respond in 2 days, but you have sent the email now.
Okay.
And I will almost put money on the fact that if you wait 2 days, then the job posting is going to come out and then you're going to look reactive, not proactive.
Right. So I should send the request through LinkedIn now. Now, my next question is, since this is an internal posting, do you think I should have like instead of LinkedIn um what is it called? Recommendations. I should just have like emailed recommendations to
No, you
turn
should
in
have,
with my
no, you should
both.
have LinkedIn
Okay.
because LinkedIn, a couple things happen. You send it, they respond, you can see it and ask for an edit. They also happen in sequential order. So it doesn't look like, hey, I went and got these because I'm looking for a new job. You constantly can be building them, and it means that you constantly are doing a good job. It's not a, hey, look at me in this moment. These are people that are consistently saying you are good at your job.
Okay. That makes
That it's a
sense.
it's a portfolio outlook, not a, oh shit, I needed these. Right? You are in a point, especially when you go to a sales role, that your LinkedIn moves to a portfolio look, right? It's the same thing with the posting. You need to be posting, which it looks like you are. You're posting. It's a living, breathing thing. People can find you there. When they Google you, your LinkedIn profile pops up. You are a real person. You are a real boy. there, there is no Pinocchio about you, right?
Right.
And so when people get on and look at you, you are consistently there. You're not a rando that just like, oh, look at he possibly needed something in this moment. So I would ask for those recommendations now and let people get to them when it's important. The other thing is if you have the persona that you believe that you do, people will do anything for you.
As we speak, I was just figuring out how to do the recommendations again. So I
So,
just went on there and figured it out, and I just sent one to my coworker Aaron. So I'm going to be sending those out. I have a conversation with him at 9 o'clock today, which is
okay,
going to be perfect. So I'll be talking to him in an hour and ask him for the recommendation as well.
good.
Cool.
Awesome. Okay, what else do you need from me right now?
So I am trying to get over the whole. I really don't want to interview for the position because I just went through all these interviews, and I'm trying to get over the whole like I know I can do this job. Like I know that like hey, I can walk into accounts, I can talk to doctors. Whatever reason, I'm nervous to interview. And I hate that. I hate that I'm nervous to do the interview process for this, but I know I can do the job. But I don't want to do the process. But I have to get over that and I don't know how to get over that right now. I'm nervous about it.
Well, so you're always an interesting interviewer for me. So, I think one of the things that would potentially be different for you this time around is you have the confidence of being employed.
Right. Absolutely.
Um, and it will be interesting to me how many people interview against you. You could very easily not have a lot of applicants.
I probably would probably interview with minimum of 5 people. I can tell
No, no,
that they
competition.
yeah, my
Other,
competition will be 5 people most
oh, you
likely.
think?
5 other candidates, most
Okay.
likely, minimum.
So I think that internal roles like this, especially for sales, my experience tells me they are typically more conversational than they are, like they have their document that they have to answer and the situational crap. Um, However, these interviews are best for salespeople when they are conversational. So if you can go in saying, I'm pretty much already doing this job and I'm just here to have a conversation with the other person, you will do best.
Okay.
Those are the ideal salesperson is a conversationalist.
Right. I can agree with that 100%.
People don't like to be sold. They like to buy. You're not a trainer, you're not a support analyst. You're going in to sell the product to people who need it. So if you can keep that framing, you'll be fine. Go in, have a conversation. And honestly, I do the best in interviews when I'm being interviewed or when I'm interviewing someone. If I can sit down, hey, how's it going? I'm excited to be here. What are you hoping we can achieve today? And if the conversation immediately goes to, well, we're going to get through this packet first. Okay, fire away. Let's go. Usually those are horrible. So let's go. Right. And you can maintain that laid back conversation. I think you'll do the best because that's every doctor, right? Every doctor is a different type of personality. Some want it to be strict, some want it to be laid back. And then that's how you'll get through them. An account manager interview, in my experience, is much different than the buttoned up, answer these 6 questions, yay or nay.
Right. 100%. I would agree with you on that. My boss did tell me he's going to give me a little tip. So he's going to give me the questions and scenarios he's going to ask before he asks them. He's going to set me up essentially, which is really great. That's nice of him. I'm not worried about my manager interview. Sorry. I turn this on quiet. Um, I'm not worried about my manager interview. I'm worried about my AVP and vice president interviews. Those are the ones I'm
Why,
worried about.
why are you worried about them?
Um, because every time I got to that point in any sales position I applied to before, I didn't move forward in the past. I think that's what's giving me the anxiety.
I will tell you that normally the decision has already been made by the time you get that far.
Right. I can agree with that. I can agree with that definitely with Patrick Romano, the VP. That's like a formality
Yes.
for him for sure. I don't know here when it comes to Marcy, who's my boss's boss. I think that there's when you're still in that point, I feel like that's still a decision spot. You're still like, okay, there's three other people against you at this point, or however many you're competing still there. When you make it to the panel, I think the panel is the true decision. Like if you get through panel interview, then it's going on to Patrick Romano and it's a formality. So
So
I'm
what
just
do you know
nervous.
about her? So what do you know about her?
When I interviewed with her in the past, she literally told me she's like, well, this is a formality. Ben has already like picked you pretty much, and we had like a nice little chat that lasted 15 minutes, and that was it. So I didn't really have like a real interview with her where it was like grilling and asking questions. It was more of a formality because she was a higher tiered position at the time. We went through corporate change,
Okay.
so positions have changed. So she's in a different role now where she's the area vice president rather than the VP. So now it's Patrick Romano in her previous role. So we went through changes, but I don't know. I'm just nervous. I don't know how to get over this.
Well, it's the belief wheel that you're in because you've
Hmm.
had this pattern happen. And until you've had it broken enough times, you're just going to continue to revert back to it. But the best way to break that wheel in my own personal, like even outside of interviewing, is reminding yourself that she is simply a conversation. Like you have had conversations with her, even
Right.
in the interview process, right? And I'm an icebreaker type of person. So, like I feel like I was just here with you, right? Are we going to do this like we did this last time? And maybe she is that type of person as well. But I think you're going to have to convince yourself that your boss has overly exaggerated the fact that this is pretty much a formality.
Yeah.
Like they don't typically just hand this information out over and over and over again. Granted, you do have to perform in a manner that allows them to move you through the gates, but he seems like he's kind of handpicked you. Do you still work for him if you get this role?
Unfortunately, we are going through changes, and he will only be my manager for the next quarter, probably, because they're changing where the managers are going. So he's going to stay in Arizona, New Mexico, and Nevada, and I'll be in California. But if I get this role, he would stay my manager. But if I don't get this role, he's not going to be my manager anymore. It's going to be somebody else who's only controlling California.
Okay, well, it sounds like he's teeing you up on purpose, like he's trying to keep you on his team.
Well, that's what I'm getting as well. I'm trying not to count my hatchlings before they hatch, because I've
Understood.
done that in the past. But I feel like he is setting me up for success in the interview process. He did say, "Hey, um, this is a really good role for you. If you don't get it, it's a great learning experience," kind of thing. He didn't say 100% like this is yours.
So I would go back to him and I would say, like, hey, listen, I really appreciate the feedback that, I'm already doing the role. Can you talk to me so that I feel more confident about what the higher level interviews would be like if I got there?
Right.
And I
Okay.
w- and I would ask him. Unfortunately, I don't know the people, but
Right.
the advice that I can give you more than anything is that the nerves will not help you. You are not a good nervous person.
No, you know what's funny is I'm nervous until the time that the camera turns on. And then I interview pretty well. I would say I interview well when I'm on camera and I'm sweating bullets and then I'm off cameras, but people don't know I'm nervous.
Right. No, I know. Yeah. Yeah. So I would just tell him, I'd be like, listen, I've been in this situation, but I need some mentorship in terms of what those higher level interviews would look like if I got that far. so that I have time to process what it would look like and prep myself in the right way.
Now I asked the national trainer, her name is Andrea. Sorry. Her name's Andrea. I called her up last week and I said, "Hey, there's an internal posting that's not posted just between you and I. We're kind of friends." She's like, "I have an idea about this position. I know of it." I said, "Can you give me a little insight on the interview process with Marcy and Patrick?" And she said, essentially, be buttoned up, wear a suit in your
Yeah.
interview, be at home, don't be on the road, don't be in accounts. She's like, take that day to like really focus on the interview. She said, she told me like focus on future products. We have ultrasound devices coming out. And she's like, how are you going to position yourself to be able to sell these ultrasound devices? She's like, focus on that. She said to make sure my resume is buttoned up and have a cover letter and a 90-day plan. And then what I did is I asked the previous rep who's leaving, who's her key accounts in the territory and who's the main docs. So I got the three main docs and the main accounts. I just need to speak to Art about the main accounts for Riverside because there's two territories merging into one, where before it was just Vegas and just Riverside, and they're combining those.
Okay, so to me, that is a very trainer answer. To have a full 90-day plan in a territory that you don't operate in, and then to tell you know the docs is very counterintuitive because it's not your territory. And for someone like me who steps in and actually teaches or trains on a territory plan, you won't know who the docs are. You can go in if you've ever run a territory plan before and understand like accounts, growth, revenue, here's how I would go, but you don't have a true territory plan experience. That's not what you're bringing into this role. What you're bringing into this role is how to know and build rapport with docs, how to close a big account that's not currently with the organization. So, my advice to you would be to know what your experiences are and strengths are in the past,
Mhm.
how you build rapport and identify new clients. And none of that is going to come with prep. That is sitting down and having a conversation so that when they say to you, Branden, how are you going to grow this territory? Well, you know what? I don't have an account manager role with you guys in my background, but when I wasn't an account manager, I was still able to bring in and help close this huge, massive client. In prior roles, when I wasn't with you guys, I had better physician interaction than anyone else in the entire company. So I would need to learn what your territory looked like, and I would need to learn where the pockets are. But my strength is in the rapport I have with the docs and the product knowledge.
Okay, that makes
And
sense.
that's a conversation. That's
Right.
not here, let me show you this plan. Because this plan, you shouldn't know it. You're a current employee building another territory. So my experience is very different than what national trainers believe because national trainers have another job to do. Does that make sense?
That does make sense. Yeah, I can see what you're saying.
So typically that means you are going to stand out with your answer. Now, she's probably right with buttoned up in your home, be comfortable, be ready. I'm going to suggest that you have what are the account manager targets? How have you met those targets in other roles? And what are your strengths as an employee? That's why you have percentages in your resume. That's why your LinkedIn matches. And that's why other clients can speak to you in recommendations, right? You're bringing the proof,
Right.
not a territory plan that's probably bullshit. You don't even live there yet, right?
Right.
See the difference? One is smoke and mirrors, and one is I'm proof. So you have to decide which one of those you're more comfortable speaking to.
Hmm. Do you think I should have like a basic 90-day plan? Because she said that they're going to ask for a presentation.
You can, if you're going to do a 90-day plan and they want it like a, they're going to require it,
Yeah.
then I will help you build one. But I'm going to tell you right now, what I build as a 90-day plan is very different than what most companies do because you don't live there. You don't know that fucking territory. So, a 90-day plan for a potential new rep looks like understanding the territory, building revenue, building account, building the next 60-day plan. Like
Right.
it's very different so that you don't commit to something and then they can't come back to you and go, "Well, your 90-day plan doesn't fucking make sense. You obviously aren't an account rep."
That makes sense. I like that. Yeah.
100% of the time, those documents will bite you in the ass in the territory or in the interview because they'll go, "Oh, this person is an account rep. They know what they're talking about. This person's never been an account rep. That doesn't fucking make sense. And this is the qualified person, and this one isn't because they fucking chat GPT that thing."
100%.
You do not have to follow my advice. I'm just telling you right now, but I am a very seasoned trainer. I am a very seasoned sales rep, and I am fucking good at what I do in the sales field. And that will disqualify you if you're not careful.
No, 100%. And that's where I'm nervous, is because I 100% have to be careful in these interviews. And that's the part you're pointing it out to me exactly what I'm nervous about is I'm nervous because I have to be careful. I'm getting geared up. My boss is giving me the key to the gate, but I have to walk through it on my own.
Yes. So you're nervous because you're trying to speak to something that you don't know.
Hmm.
If you speak to things you know, like, "Hey, my experience here is this, I'm strong here. My experience here is this, I'm strong here." It's like you don't have to remember lies that you told if you don't tell lies.
That's very true.
Okay, you don't have to remember things that you memorized if they are your true experiences.
Right.
Okay, your manager is telling you you are already doing the job. So we just have to pull out key interactions that you are showing those strengths and maybe make some notes about that. That would be my recommendation.
I think that's a good point. I think the biggest win I have is the Cedars win.
Okay.
So I think what I'll do is I have a ton of notes. I'm going to go through those notes, summarize them, and then we can go over those because that was a big win for me this year.
Okay.
And then also another big win is I got Riverside Kaiser to do a purchase order for 1.9 million.
Okay. So here's what you need. You need a new client win, like a gross ad, new client win. You
Okay.
need a revenue win. So it could be an existing client, but a revenue win. You need a customer service win, somebody who came to you and said your service or your expertise was the best. And ideally, you need an employee win. So that could be from Morton, where you've hired or improved someone's job into leadership. You need that kind of win.
Okay.
That's where you can say, "My experience here is this. My experience here is this. My experience here is this. And this is why. This is how I did it."
That makes sense. Do you think a win from Morton would be important where, like, for instance, I closed the city account? I got
Yep.
them to sign on with us. That would be a good win as well.
All yes, because it doesn't a good salesperson can sell anything.
Right.
A mediocre salesperson can sell the product that they're trained on.
That's true.
I will literally fucking sell you anything. Like I don't like this, right? Ice, Eskimos, children, Cheerios, what is it? I happen to be a very persuasive person. I would lend that you also can be a very persuasive person. Shitty car salesmen sell cars, and that's all they can sell, right?
Right.
So that's the difference. So if you can show that you have a good sales win in healthcare, in pest control, in convincing people to work for you and then make them leaders, like you're producing a common thread that you are morally a good person, you are ethically a good salesperson, and that you can adapt and do the next big thing.
Okay. That makes sense. When it comes to the employee one, how do I, because none of my employees are managers of me, and none of my employees are managers of other people. So how do I do that one?
I mean, if I remember correctly, you had an employee at Morton that wanted to go from one role to the other, right? Didn't you take somebody who was doing an application and make them a salesperson?
Well, I did. Oh, I can see what you're saying now. Yes, yes, I did. That was a while ago. I have a new person now that I hired on as a regular associate, and I transitioned them into sales, and I trained them on how to do sales and how to close sales
Okay.
within the
Are they still
company.
with you?
Yeah,
Are they making more money now than they were then?
yeah.
There you go.
So am I asking them for something?
No, you're just speaking to the fact that you identified this person, you helped them improve their lifestyle, they're still working for you, and they're better off working for you now than they were before, and you help them through the ranks.
Now, how do I be careful about that with the fact that I'm no longer working for Morton anymore?
When this person worked for you,
Well, they're working for me now, technically, but
when this person worked for you.
oh, I see what you're saying. They worked for me in 2024.
Yeah.
Okay.
You could even say, you know that they still work for Morton. It's a
Okay.
continued success for them. You're still in touch with them. You know that when they started there, it was a labor job. You help them move through the ranks, and their entire family life is improved because of uh, working underneath you and your leadership, you know?
Yeah,
And
that makes sense.
yeah.
Yeah, he's buying a house right now. Lucky him.
And I would say that, Brandon, like do you realize that there are people that will never help another person move into that stage of life?
Oh yeah, no, I've been there. I worked for a company where a manager I worked for didn't want to help you move up.
Right. So that type of leadership, that type of management, that type of just give a damn does not exist in all people. And those qualities are what make a better account manager because you have to care. You have
Right.
to care about your people. It's not just a support person. You are now the lead in the eyes of the end customer.
Okay. That's very true.
So these are the things that will make your interview better and different than anybody else who possibly competes with you. That's why these interviews are different. And if you have never been to the end tier 4, tier 5 interview, this is why. If you have not had these types of conversations, that's why you aren't getting to the end.
That makes sense. That does make sense. I can see that. Okay. Hmm. Yeah. Yeah, I haven't made it very far in the sales interviews. I've made it far in the clinical ones. Like, I mean, you and I have had conversations about that. I think the clinical interviews are just fine. It's the sales interviews that I don't make it past the manager. But I know I will in this round because I know Ben's going to push me to at least Marcy. I know I'll make it to Marcy. No problems.
So my hunch would be that no one questions your clinical ability.
No, not at all.
Now they're questioning your emotional ability to move on and deal with your clients. Can you build rapport? Can you handle the pressure? Can you from an emotional intelligence level, take on $8 million worth of their business and hold the vacuum strong enough that you won't fuck up $8 million of a territory? I
Right.
mean, that is the ultimate question, because you can take it and grow it, which is the ultimate goal. But the risk is, will you fuck it up?
Right. Now my question, this might even be a question for my manager. So the previous role in the territory before me, the girl who's leaving, she only had Vegas. She was going to take Riverside from Art, who's now taking LA. They're combining these two territories. Now, if the person who was in Riverside was there for 4 years and the person who was in Las Vegas was there for 7 years, and it's going to combine now to an $8 million territory, how do you grow a territory that's already standing on its own feet? How do you grow that? How do you gain $8 million in growth every year if it's already like sold?
It's not. No territory is ever that sold. And that's why I'm telling you that it doesn't matter whether you walk in with a territory plan that is absolutely gorgeous or not.
Hmm.
Every salesperson has their deltas. Every salesperson has accounts that they haven't been able to crack. So putting a
Right.
new salesperson in those shoes automatically opens up more opportunities. Because I can sit in a sales territory for 20, 30 years. I have my blind spots, I have my enemies, I have the places that I think, oh, yep, nope, they'll never buy from me. I have the physicians that walk straight past me trying not to make eye contact. I have, like all of those things. I used to work with a guy who'd been in his territory for like 20 years.
Wow.
Uh, and ironically, his counterpart, like 22 years or whatever, I had been in mine for like 3. They used to refer to us as the big 3. And I would walk into those guys' territory, of course, the 6 foot tall blonde, and I would sell in their accounts. And they loved taking me in. And the reason was they would go in and talk about the same shit over and over again. I'd walk in and be like, all right, let's go. What are we talking about? Talk to me about something new, whatever. Where those guys had their rhythm. And they'd walk into my accounts and people would be like, those guys are boring. Right. So an $8 million territory doesn't mean that they have not done the market research, knowing that it has $15 million of potential. That's probably why they're merging them, because the market has told them it's got 15, $20 million of potential, and those two reps have tapped it.
Right.
So they're looking for someone who is a hunter, not a gatherer.
That makes sense.
Those two gentlemen that I was referring to, they were gatherers. Younger in their career, they were hunters. But they just had gotten to a point where they were done. They were farmers. If you don't want to call them gatherers, they're farmers, right? They were farming the current accounts. The Vegas market, for what I know about it just in general, it's very wealthy. It's constantly turning, it's aging. So, I would assume that those are typically lucrative. I'll say lucrative for what you guys are trying to do. Putting a hunter mentality in that market that is willing to knock on doors, change the mentality, do something new, not have any current relationships that they'll go, "Oh no, I know that place," is probably going to expand the market closer to what its market cap is.
Okay. That makes more sense.
So if you're going to ask questions prior to, I would maybe look at questions like, is there a known market dollar that territory is capable of? It's an existing $8 million territory, but has there been research done as to what that territory's potential is? Is there a whale account that has been identified? I would be asking questions like that. Has there been a large account that's been lost there in the
I know
last
I know the
5 years?
answers to those ones because I asked that already.
Okay, so those are the things that I would be interested in more than anything.
Okay.
So, okay, friend, I just realized it's 11:30. I have an 11:30 here.
I'll talk to
Um,
you soon.
Let me know when you get some work done on your LinkedIn and your resume, and then I will jump back in and take a look and we'll schedule another call.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Appreciate
It's
you.
great to see you. Feel better.
Nice seeing you. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.